Hello there, and welcome to day number 82 on the Road to 2000 ELO Rapid Series. We're playing with the black pieces today, and we're going with the Queen's Gambit Declined. I'm playing against an 1811 from the States, around a similar rating, and here I like to go for this C5 move, which is apparently the semi-Tarrasch defense. After E3, I can play Knight C6, I can just take. Knight C6 doesn't allow this, which is nice. So let's do that. And maybe plans to go queen b6 if they ever move their bishop. Okay, I don't know what this does. Maybe they're trying to play e4. Am I worried about that? Not particularly. Um, let's see. What are we trying to do here? I can always takes back, maybe try to play bishop d6, and then here, let's give that a go. Actually, I can't do this because this hangs the pawn. Um, although, King b6 now, they just play b5. Gonna have to think this through a little bit. Maybe just the bishop e7, anticipating the pin, preparing castling. Can't really hurt. If b5 comes in, well, that would be a little annoying, but it doesn't. Now that they played bishop d3, we might as well make them waste the tempo for it. And just castle. I still don't think I'm missing anything in particular. Yeah, I'll just castle now. Maybe queen d7, a rook d8 could be an idea. It does block in the bishop, though. Queen d6 kind of blocks in my other bishop. It's a little annoying. Maybe I can play, like, a6, b5. Okay, and now b5. Send this bishop backwards. Maybe play bishop b7. And at least have, the long diagonal threat. Queen c7, rook d8, rook a8, and rook fd8 could be moves in the future. Okay. All right. Let's think now. It is thinking time. Got two pieces looking at this. It's not really going to do anything just yet. Maybe if I play rook c8, that could be a thing in the future. Are they threatening anything with bishop b2, or are they just improving their piece? I don't think they're actually threatening anything. They'll probably go rook c8 as well, though. So ideas here of maybe knight takes, pawn takes, bishop here, but now that this is defended, it still doesn't really do anything. We can maybe try to go, queen d7 and rook d8, and this pawn is on the weaker side. So if they don't, I mean, they can play knight here maybe to defend. Maybe knight d5 is a move, preventing them from pushing. Because pushing d5 might actually be good for white. 1, 2, 3 defenders of the d5 square. We also have 3. So they can actually push if they want to. And yeah, I wouldn't like that for me, actually. Although maybe if push... No, this doesn't work. Maybe I could just slide a knight away. That doesn't make sense either. I'd probably just take, and we'd get a trade down the middle of the board. They are thinking. That is a good sign. Trying to make plans. I mean, my bishop's going to be useful in the long term. Okay, they're trying to bring a rook onto here so they can push later on. Maybe it's a good time to play knight d5 and not allow that to happen. Knight d5, knight takes, pawn takes. And can they add pressure to this? I don't think they can right away. It's worth noting my knight's defending my bishop, so this is going to be fine for me. Yeah. Let's do this. I want to just disallow a d5 pawn push. I think typically with isolated queen spawns, the plan is to try to get a piece in front of it to block its movement. Now, the problem is that after the trade, we're blocking with a pawn and not a piece, so it's a little less effective. Also worth looking out for the fact that this rook has like a bit of an x-ray. Okay. This, I think, is not too concerning. Where's knight trying to go? I'm not too sure. Okay. Let's think about this one. Knight here is a move. Doesn't do anything yet. Love to add pressure onto this pawn, but right now it's defended twice anyways, so there's no point of doing that. Which piece can I improve here? That should be my question. Can I push this? Maybe. Okay, my rook's the only piece that's not active in the game. Let's get it in here. Let's get my rook in here. And if this knight goes anywhere, I'll just take with the bishop. My bishop is dominating this knight. And yeah, I mean, I'm very willing to sacrifice a bishop for this knight. That was a very strong knight. See which pawn takes. I would guess the d pawn, yeah. Now, knight here. We can just solidify the knights. And also... Well, do I want to allow this pawn to pass through is the question. I don't know. This is a little tricky. These pawns are rock solid now, which is kind of annoying. But let's try just open things up. This is a threat. I could play knight here. I could also play this. That's very weakening. Probably knight here, but then pawn up. Yeah, okay. Knight here, this, and I probably lose. Then maybe pawn up afterwards. The queen can't just slide back. If I go pawn up right now, nah, that's a little weakening. Knight here, g4, so at least we create their own weakness. The queen has to slide away somewhere. Maybe, I don't know, here, for example. Just give it a shot. See what happens. g4, I presume. Try to kick away my knight. And f6 would be played by me in that scenario. And the queen won't be able to stay on this diagonal because all the squares are covered by the knights. If I can, I'd love to get my bishop onto c6 just to not allow this c6 move from my opponent. Could be scary in the future. Right now it's not possible, obviously, but you never know. Gotta think a little bit more concretely, though. I can't be playing like that. These bishops are very strong. Very, very strong bishops. I probably think I'm objectively a fair bit worse here. Okay, so this is a move to consider. This knight is pinned. That's also worth noting. My queen, so I'd have to move my queen somewhere. Here, and where does the queen go? Way back. Love to play this. We can stack up the queens, I guess. That could be worth doing. Let's give it a go. After bishop takes, rook takes, rook takes. Okay. Let's try this. Same idea. f6 in case of g4. It's getting a little dicey, though. I'm kind of scared. If I were white, I'd probably try to reroute my bishop onto e4. Okay. So they go for this g4 idea. But now this knight is hanging after I move my knight. So that could be pretty bad. Could also attack their queen. Okay, knight here, incite some trades. Let's give it a go. Also keeps this defended. Oh, wait, it's not defended. Uh-oh. Oh, wait, no, it is. Phew. We're opening up multiple lines of attack. I'm not sure who's better here, though, I will say. It's a little unclear. If bishop takes, probably queen takes. The thing is, depending on what happens first, I might want to trade the rooks first, or I might want to... Yeah, okay, so here queen takes. If I take with a knight, there's no more attack on the queen. So... But if I take with the knight, then I also have the threat on f3. Take with the knight, but pawn takes. Here, queen takes. Bishop takes. Okay, let's think about this concretely. Queen takes. Probably queen takes. Knight takes. Pawn takes. Let's take with the queen. No, let's take with the knight. I'm really not sure about this. I'm really not sure about this. Okay, we'll take with the rook. Oh, maybe I should have played this first. Whoopsies. I probably should have played knight here first. Okay, now we're fine. Knight here attacking the queen again. There is a check, I guess. But even with the check, this this knight's under threat. This check doesn't work. This is scary. Okay, now we take. And we are just up a piece here. Okay, conversion time. Easier said than done. This rook's got to move. Let's see where. All right. We have a check. King here. We also have this check, which looks more promising, actually, now that I think about it. We could go for mate first. So let's do that. And here, check, here, this, there. How do I win this? Check, here, back. Running out of time. We'll give the check. Forces this. And now, if I can play this move, it'd be really good. I can't. There we go, okay. So, play knight here instead. This is mate. He's gonna play... Oh, he can't play this either. Okay, I think I found the mate. Wow, that was not easy. Check. Here. Check. Back. No more checks. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a really nice checkmate. Wow. Under pressure. I don't know if there's a way out. I'm still trying to think about this. I don't think there is. The king is completely immobilized, if you look carefully. And this is coming. And there's no way to stop the checkmate because you can't interfere with any of your pieces. The piece delivering mate is going to be the rook, and there's no way to stop the rook from getting to h1. The only way to delay it would be rook d1, but then I just take. Really beautiful checkmate. Really, really beautiful checkmate, I must say. And I don't want to be, presuming I win before I do, but yeah, I don't see a way out. Great result. I'm very happy with it. 18-14. We're moving on up. And let's see if we can continue that upward progress in the next game too. But first, let's analyze this one to see how it went. Alright, so in this game we started against d4, and here I like to play d4, d5. After c4, e6 is the queen's gambit declined, and knight c3, knight f6, knight f3, and here I like to play c5. This is the semi-Tarrasch defense to the queen's gambit declined. And yeah, it's just a fun little setup instead of going for pure symmetry and getting your knight out. Actually, this is more symmetrical, I guess. Because I do put my knight onto c6. So it goes for complete and total symmetry, funnily enough. But I like having that confrontational aspect of the pawn on c5. Here, a3 is played by my opponent. This is all theory, by the way. And I take on d4. They take back. And here I'm supposed to take on c4, apparently, but bishop e7 is also a book move. After bishop d3, this is when you take on c4. Because you're making them waste the tempo, essentially. And now I just castle, they castle, and this is a completely equal game, if you look at the evaluation. And here, a6 is actually the best move. Wow, we got a lot of book moves in this one. And b4, finally, is a deviation away from theory. After b4, I get b5, kicking away the bishop. And here, apparently the best move is a5, which does not look very intuitive to me. a5 allows the knight to come in, and a5 also allows this. I guess if pawn takes, rook takes, which doesn't allow knight takes, but for example, knight here, I guess now you go a takes on b4, and you win the pawn back, and you create long-term pressure on the a file. Your rook becomes super active. So interesting. I'll try to keep that in mind because this is pretty. I think that the moves up till here have been pretty intuitive, so might happen in future games as well. I instead chose to develop a bishop onto b7, which makes sense as a move too. Just positionally speaking, they go bishop b2 here, and now I decide to bring a rook onto c8. I thought queen b6 made sense, but it's a little slow. Queen b6 would make sense if you can also have a rook on d8 right away. But here we have both rooks on the c file, and it looks like a game of copycat. Queen d7, queen e2, and now knight d5 was the decisive move, and it turns out it's a mistake. I was thinking if knight takes on d5, pawn takes, and then there's no real sort of, way to win this tactically, but apparently white just enjoys a healthier position. Queen d3 is the best way, and I guess maybe bishop b1 is coming. And it becomes hard to stop it without playing like g6. So for example, like if I just play a move, like for example, bishop f6, just targeting this pawn, now knight e5. Oh, that gets messy. 95. 95 is a solid move. Yeah, 95 is a great move, actually. Because I can't just take back. This becomes really bad for my bishop. And I'd have to move my queen away. So, for example, if we get something like this, well, then now their knight's just super solid on e5. I'm not really going to be able to kick it out unless I move my bishop, in which case they'd be very happy to trade, I presume. And they can start pushing pawns and solidify this knight with f4. Yeah, this looks pretty solid for white. So these are hard things to see though, and here my opponent went knight e4 and didn't take advantage of my mistake. I went rook d8, repositioning my rook, creating more long-term pressure on the d4 pawn and just on the d file in general. And after knight c5, I just happily traded the bishop away. This is still better for white. Apparently, after I go knight c7, which is an inaccuracy, but apparently is the best move. Okay, yeah, with a little bit more depth, it's not the best move, but actually it still is. Man, I don't understand. But yeah, inaccuracy for some reason. I guess it's because it allows knight e5, but here queen e5 is not the move. And we both make a series of inaccuracies. Knight e5 is a very solid move because it forces my queen backwards or sideways, but there's not really much space sideways. So if I go back, well, now white's completely exerting dominance over the position. A very natural looking move would be, I would think, rook e1, but I guess rook e1. And the plan long term is to create pressure over this knight. So if the pawn never takes, well, then you have the X-ray on the knight and the queen. Interesting enough. So here, after rook d1 now, my queen sidesteps to c6, and they make a mistake. So I got lucky. I got lucky because I missed that knight d4 can be played, and I can't play f6. So I thought to myself beforehand that whatever happens in this position, if ever they try to kick out my knight with any of these moves, that I would have f6 on the cards. What I missed is that after I move my queen to c6, now they can actually play knight d4, which kicks away this knight, but also attacks this queen. And so if, for example, I move my knight away, I mean, if I move my queen away, well, then knight takes on f5 is just completely winning because mate is threatened. And I can't take the knight back. So I would be forced to do this, in which case after, I don't know, whatever takes, bishop takes. Okay, bishop takes is not as good for some reason. But the threats become massive because my defending piece wasn't doing it. But I did see g4, and g4 didn't scare me because I thought to myself that I have f6. Now, it turns out this is not the move. It turns out the move is knight f6. And let's see why f6 fails. f6 fails tactically because queen e4 is possible to stop the threats against this knight. And if I decide to get my knight to safety, for example, I don't know, where would I move my knight? Let's say I moved it here. Now knight d4 still comes in. The threat is huge. I'd probably play queen here because I would have to, and then I'd drop this pawn, yada yada. Okay. I mean, that's hard to see. That's not easy. I thought f6 was a nice move, and they didn't find queen e4, and here I'm crushing because knight f4 comes in, and it's already -9. What? Here I just have to move my king. What? Why is the queen trapped? There's no way. I guess it's that if the queen moves, then this is threatened. And you can't stop both. Like, if the queen moves, this is threatened. I mean, queen takes, this is threatened, and you can't stop both mating squares. So, if I just move my king, and let's say they just take the rook blindly, well now, okay, well no, for example, if they save their queen, sorry, duh. If they save their queen, now queen takes on f3 comes in, and you can't stop both mates. I didn't think about that. Here I took with my knight. This is still completely winning. The rationale is that the knight on f3 is still hanging, They take back on f5, trying to win back some material, but now this is actually, I think, a mistake, because if queen takes knight g5, okay, well, I thought this was less good, but knight g5 is a nice way to, like, if they take, then you win. So here, what I probably should have done, or at least what I want to do, is go knight f4 right away. I realized this afterwards, but it ended up happening the same way. Rook takes. After rook takes back, I played knight f4, and this is a mistake. Wait, what? Because of queen e7. Because of queen e7. And now if I take on f3, they actually have rook check, I presume. Rook d8 check. Now I have to take back, and this is going to be just simply perpetual. My goodness. Queen d7. My king has no escape because of this pawn, and this is perpetual. Huh. Okay, well, they didn't find it, obviously. It's a hard move to find. And then the mate is beautiful. The mate is really nice. So here in this position, rook e8 threatens checkmate in 1. They move the pawn in order to stop the mate. They probably should have gone bishop c3 to cover the mating square, or maybe even rook e6, but rook e6 just loses the game. Instead, they tried to create space for their king, and the thing is that you can play knight e2, completely trapping the king. The king only has 2 squares to move on. Neither of them are going to save the king from rook h1 check and mate. Really, really nice game. A lot of different things to consider from the analysis. I hope you all enjoyed. We won and are now at 18-14 elo, so that's nice to see. And if you did like the video, and if you like all these videos, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. It's a regular ask, but I really do appreciate it for those that do. And drop a like and drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Tell me, hopefully, that you enjoyed. But if you didn't, let me know what I can do better. And I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. See ya. Bye-bye.